Welcome to 4K.
Hello guys, 4Collector here, bringing you this beautiful $1 1896 silver certificate. This is part of what's known as the educational series, and this comes in $1, $2, and $5 denomination. And each denomination has a particular theme. Theme for this one is History Instructing Youth. Now, if you know anything about the educational series, it's one of the most bold artistic design, and each note has this huge edge-to-edge mural style artwork, what's called the neoclassical theme, using allegorical figures. Now, this series was very short-lived. It was issued from 1896 till 1899. And the reason why it didn't last longer and why we didn't have larger denominations like $10, $20, $50, or $100 issues was because the whole design, even though it was truly bold, unique, and stunning, the execution had some practical flaws, which led to the fact that this was a short-lived series, and it was quickly replaced only 3 years after its issue with more conventional design. So we'll talk more about that later. First, let's take a look at this particular note. Now, the front is printed in black and white, and the reverse is more standard green color design. But the beauty is definitely in the front design. So like I said, they all have a theme. This $1 denomination is written out here, History Instructing Youth. So we have a female personification of history, with a youth, American youth by her side, and she is lovingly pointing out the American history, specifically the Constitution, to the youth. And the whole setting is this beautiful backdrop of the Potomac River in Washington, D.C. We have Washington Monument and the Capitol building in the backdrop. The allegorical figure is reclining on this bench here, and to the left of this boy we have this Roman fasces, which is bounded rods and an axe. And I want to show you the detail in this note, particularly the writing on the Constitution. It is so crisp and clear that you can actually read the words on this first page of the Constitution. Much like all other silver certificates, it has a red seal of the Treasury on the bottom here. On all four sides, we have this very beautiful stylized denomination 1, and it's in 4 different designs. Down here it mentioned that it's a series of 1896. So all 4 corners with this stylized numeral 1. And also in the center we have, this certifies that there has been deposited in the Treasury of the United States $1 silver. So this is backed by silver at this time, payable to the bearer on demand, Washington, D.C. And then we have the signature of the Register of Treasury and the Treasurer of the United States. Mine is Tillman and Morgan. The other possible combination is Bruce and Roberts. Now, all around the edges, we have these wreaths with names of famous Americans, including Lincoln, we have Jefferson, Washington, Franklin, Hamilton, and we also have Grant on this edge. So the detail on this note is just fabulous. It's really, really beautiful design. Here's the serial number printed in blue, and then down here we have the BEP.
Female personification of history draped in American flag reclining on a bench with her right arm around a young child representing youth of America. With her left hand, she points towards the Constitution of the United States as the foundation of our democracy. The setting is the picturesque panoramic view of the Potomac River in Washington, D.C., with the tower representing the Washington Monument, and next to it is the beautiful dome-shaped Capitol building, where the Congress meets. Right behind the standing boy, we have a tied bundle of rods and an axe blade, called the fasces, which was the Roman symbol of power and jurisdiction. All around the border of this note, we have 23 wreaths, with last names of famous and important Americans who shaped this country to its glory. Among these names we have Lincoln, Washington, Franklin, Jefferson, Grant, to name a few. This ties in well with central theme of history. This is a close-up of the Constitution, and it is pretty impressive that the writing is legible and so crisp. This speaks to the expertise of the engraver Charles Schlecht. Briefly, an objection was raised to the spelling of the word tranquility seen in the middle of the left page of the Constitution, which is spelled with a single L, which was contrary to British English, which spells with two L's. However, the engraver had done his homework, and this is how tranquility is actually spelled in the original Constitution, and was the accepted spelling at the time of when the Constitution was written.
Now let's take a look at the back of the note. So, while we have the allegorical figure on the front, the theme of the back of the note is different. Now, the front of the note was designed by Will Lowe, so he only designed the front of the note, while the back of the note was designed by someone else. In this particular note, the back was designed by Thomas Morris, and the back design is certainly not neglected. Unlike some other older US currency, the back of the note was stylized, but not to this degree. Here we have this beautiful vignettes on either side. So this is basically winged liberty and the Union shield. And in the center, we have portraits, which are usually seen on the front of the design, but here they are on the back of the design. We have husband and wife, Martha Washington and George Washington. And the interesting thing is that these portraits were engraved by two different engravers. So Martha Washington was engraved by Charles Burt in the year 1878, and George Washington was engraved by another famous engraver, Alfred Seeley, in the year 1867. So these particular portraits have been used on other denominations and of other series, but they appear together only on this particular note. And in the center, we have this very stylized one. There were some jokes made about the fact that, the husband and wife were separated by numeral 1, but overall the design was really well received by general public. Down here it says silver certificate, and then we have some legal text in the mid-center bottom. So as you can see, there's some embedded fibers. This is the security feature in the grain of the paper. So truly an exceptional design, and just a total collectible piece. Now the $1 denomination is not rare, but it is pricey to have it in a good condition. But if you want the $2 or $5 denomination, then you really have to break the bank to get one of those, because even in poor condition, they can run you thousands of dollars, especially the $5 denomination. I think the going rate right now is around $5,000 if you want to get it in, very fine 25 grade.
The back design with Martha and George separated by numeral 1 was source of some jokes and puns. It was claimed that no one should ever come between George and Martha, or that here is the only one to ever come between the two. The design is absolutely stunning, so no real objections raised.
I want to talk about the problems and criticism of this series. Now I'm going to show you the other designs. So this was the whole series, the $1, $2, and $5. These are replicas, but this will illustrate the point. So if you look at the design, the design got more and more intricate as you went from $1 to $2, and this $5, the design gets so intricate and so beautiful. So the artwork certainly got, they stepped up the artwork as they moved from $1 to $2 to $5 denomination. And the interesting thing is, each of these notes, the front of the note, was designed by a different designer. This one by Will Lowe, $2 by Edwin Blashfield, and the $5 by Walter Scherval. And the back of the notes, the $1, the $2, and the $5 feature different portraits of famous Americans. And the back of the notes were all green in color, and they were also designed by a different designer than the front of the note. Now, what was the issue? The issue was some practical issues. Mostly it had to do with how much dark ink was on the front of the note. So as you see, as the design gets more intricate, there is more and more darker ink used for the portraits or the engraving, which led to this very practical problem that even with very light circulation, we're talking very light handling, this would lead to smudging. So as you would hold this paper money with your bare hands, the oil on your fingertips would start smudging the ink off the banknote. So as in just a few months of circulation, these banknotes would get so smudgy that when they would make their way to the bank, they would start looking like counterfeits. And that had to do with the fact that uh, the imagery was not very clear, and then the more important thing was the embedded fibers, the security fibers in the paper would get obscured. So this was a big deal because it would take some time for bank tellers to confirm the authenticity of the note, given that even a very lightly circulated note presented a challenge to confirm that this was not a counterfeit, it was a real US currency. The second problem was the fact that all three designs are similar. If you have a stack of money, $1, $2, and $5 denomination, and you're a bank teller, you just have to pause a little bit before you can make sure that you're not mixing up denominations because they look so similar. Other thing was counting these notes by bank tellers presented another challenge because for example, if you're just looking at the edges and counting it, here's the 1, here's the 2, but if you get to the $5 denomination, the 5 is not on the top or bottom edge. Instead, it's offset to a little bit inwards. So if they're trying to count it fast, it just presents a challenge. So even though beautiful design, it had some major practical flaws, which is unfortunate because this series had so much potential, and the proposed design for the $10 and who knows what they would have done for even $20, $50, or $100. That would have been probably spectacular design. It's unfortunate that only after these 3 denominations we had to switch back to the old way of printing a portrait of George Washington or Lincoln or Grant, and then move away from this beautiful mural style stunning artwork. Another thing was there was some controversy about this particular note, the $5 denomination, and had to do with how much skin electricity, this allegorical figure representing electricity, how much skin she was showing, bare-chested and almost semi-nude. So that didn't sit well with some people, although we've had bare-chested allegorical figures on many other US currency of that time. This was a little bit too much. There was some plans to cover up this figure in the next issue, so they would have fixed the design to please everyone. But the fact that we had the smudging issue, the counting issue, the next director of BEP, when they came into office, they were not a fan of this series, so this whole project was botched. They had it for those 3 years of issue between 1896 and 1899, and then this series was no more.
This $2 is titled Science Presenting Steam and Electricity to Commerce and Manufacture. Science is the central allegorical figure introducing young steam holding throttle and young electricity holding galvanic coil to ladies representing commerce and manufacturing. Commerce has a money bag next to her while industry has a cogwheel. This celebrates the newest innovation of steam and electricity powers, offering potential for industrial growth and commerce expansion. Back design has the portraits of the 2 inventors, Robert Fulton, who invented steamboat, and Samuel Morse of Morse code and inventor of the telegraph. This ties in well with front theme. Partly clothed winged electricity allegory is standing on the globe over map of America, holding a brightly lit light bulb which is powered by the Roman god of thunder, Jupiter on his chariot, holding a lightning bolt. On the other side, we have a female allegory of fame playing trumpet proclaiming our nation's progress. A bald eagle next to the legs of electricity, and to the far left, we have a female allegory of the peace with doves. So much symbolism. On the back, we have the portraits of Civil War generals, Ulysses Grant and Philip Sheridan. Central allegorical woman was designed by Thomas Morris and, allegedly closely resembles his wife.